The first time I noticed something was off, I'd just finished rewiring the garage light, hands still smelling like copper and sweat. Catherine's phone buzzed on the counter like a trapped hornet. A single word glowed on the screen. Tonight? Not dinner or kids. Just tonight? Like a goddamn booty call confirmation. I picked it up, thumb hovering over the notification, then set it down hard when I heard her footsteps. Later, I'd kick myself for not swiping right then. But denial's a hell of a drug. She waltzed in smelling like Chanel No. 5 and gilt, that new necklace catching the light. A silver serpent coiled around a black pearl. I didn't buy it. I'd remember something that ugly. "You're home early," she said, already pouring wine. Not "how was your day?" Just an accusation wrapped in Merlot. At dinner, Emily kept smirking into her mashed potatoes. "Mom's got yoga again tonight, right?" She stressed the word like it was a punchline. Catherine's knife screeched against the plate. "Advanced hot vinyas," she said too fast. They added evening sessions. I watched a crumb of risotto cling to her lipstick, Revlon's Scarlet Siren, a shade she'd sworn off years ago because it aged her. 3 hours later, I'm elbow deep in the garbage disposal, because that's what I do now, apparently, fix things that won't stop screaming, when I hear her on the back porch. Voice low, honeyed. Not forever, just needs closure. My hand stilled. A cockroach floated past the carrot peels. Then laughter, her real laugh, the one that used to shake her shoulders during our first dates. Not the performative titter she'd perfected for PDA fundraisers. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just watched her reflection in the microwave door, barefoot in that lacy robe I'd bought her in Maui, toes painted blood red. New color, new necklace, new fucking life. Next morning, I accidentally spilled coffee on her gym bag. "Let's get that cleaned up," I said, sweet as cyanide, already unzipping it. She lunged, actually lunged, but not before I saw the hotel shampoo bottle rolling out. Marriott, the one by the airport where her consulting firm never holds meetings. "Oops," I said, holding up the tiny bottle like a crime scene photo. "Forgot they give these out at what's it called? Hot vinyas." Her face did this fascinating thing. Paled, then flushed, like a dying neon sign. "They hand them out at the studio now. For showers after class." She yanked the bag away, but not before I spotted the matching conditioner. Because sure, nothing says zen like hoarding hotel toiletries. Emily chose that moment to stroll in, slurping a green smoothie. "Mom's got that work thing tonight, right?" She didn't look at me, just stared at Catherine with this glow, like they'd shared a secret. Or a scalp. I waited until Catherine's car vanished down the street. Then I went full Sherlock on her jewelry box. The snake necklace wasn't there, but tucked under her silk scarves, the ones that still smelled like my cologne, I found the receipt. Dated 2 weeks ago. $1,850. Paid in cash. Funny thing, our joint account hadn't bled $1,850 recently, but I'd bet my DeWalt collection someone's secret rainy day fund had. That night, I grilled salmon, her favorite. Let her chatter about spin classes and stock options. Watched the serpent necklace rise and fall with every breath. When she leaned in for a kiss, I turned my cheek. "Long day," I said, nodding at her phone lighting up with another work email. She flinched. The serpent trembled, and I realized I wasn't holding a knife. I was holding a scalpel. 3 days later, I'm parked behind a dumpster at the Sunset and watching Catherine's Lexus idle in spot 214. The motel's neon vacancy sign flickers like a distress signal, casting pink light on the license plate frame I'd installed last anniversary, together through every mile. Irony's a bitch with a PhD. She steps out wearing that stupid snake necklace and heels that could puncture a tire. My hands grip the steering wheel hard enough to leave dents. A red Mustang convertible rolls up, vinyl roof, jersey plates, driver's arm slung over the seat like a fucking Tom Cruise wannabe. His wrist flashes gold. Not a watch. A bracelet. I count 17 seconds from car door to motel room. 17 seconds of her laugh echoing across asphalt. 17 seconds before I'm out of my truck, cell phone recording, stepping over syringes in the parking lot like they're rose petals. The do not disturb sign sways as I press my ear to room 12's flimsy door. Muffled music. Ice clinking. Her gasp, the one she'd faked during our dead bedroom pity fucks. My thumb digs into the security latch until it bends. They don't notice the door cracking open. Not with him shirtless against the paisley wallpaper, Catherine's legs wrapped around his hips like she's scaling Mount Midlife Crisis. The bracelet glints again, medical alert tag. Type 1 diabetes. I snap photos with the clinical detachment of an entomologist documenting beetles fucking. Wait until he flips her onto the vibrating bed. Then I clear my throat. Hope they stocked extra insulin, sport. The scream-wheeze combo is almost artistic. Catherine scrambles for a sheet, but I kick it toward the mini-fridge. Keep the necklace on, I say. Really ties the desperate whore. Look together. At home, Emily's waiting like some fucked-up tribunal. Catherine's still clutching the snake pendant, makeup streaked like a sad clown. It was one night to get it out of my system, she wails. You've been emotionally checked out since. Since your brother died? Emily cuts in, voice trembling with rehearsed venom. She's holding a framed photo of her twin, my son, who drowned while I was installing cabinets in the Hamptons. You weren't there then. You're not here now. The air tastes like burnt wiring. I stare at the water stain on the ceiling from when Jake tried to build an indoor pool with Legos. Let me get this straight, I say, too calm. Infidelity's your couple's therapy? And you, I turn to Emily, you're the fucking Dalai Lama of betrayal now. Catherine reaches for my arm. Jason, please. Don't. I step back, crunching something under my boot. The diabetes bracelet must have fallen from my pocket. Emily freezes, recognizing the medical logo. Wait, is that Tom's? From the pharmacy? Her voice cracks. Bingo. I pocket the bracelet, savoring the dawning horror on Catherine's face. Funny story, I say, heading for the garage. Turns out your boy toy's got a pre-existing condition. Emily follows, hysterical. You can't just. Can't. I yank open the safe where Jake's old asthma inhalers gather dust. Your mother just fucked a guy who probably can't survive a juice cleanse. But sure, I'm the monster. The divorce pamphlets are right where I left them, under the hydraulic jack. I toss them onto the kitchen island. Pack what you can carry. Catherine's mascara pools in her wrinkles. You'd make us homeless over one mistake? Homeless. I laugh, raw and jagged. Sweetheart, you're gonna wish homelessness was the worst of it. As they sob in the foyer, I text my accountant, a 3 a.m. special. Attach the photo of Tom's medical ID. Find his insurance provider, I type. Now, revenge isn't a dish. It's a fucking ecosystem. And I just became apex predator. The private investigator arrived smelling like stale pretzels and existential dread. I hired him at the urgent care waiting room while Catherine got her allergic reaction checked out, conveniently timed hives after our little motel showdown. His card read Milo Banks, discreet inquiries, but his gut read divorced 3 times, eats gas station sushi. Perfect. Your wife's been funneling cash through a shell company, Milo said, spreading photos across my workbench. Pretty little thing called Bellevue Holdings. Registered to a P.O. box in the Caymans. He tapped a shot of Catherine entering a strip mall UPS store, same day she'd claimed to be at a spa. The security cam timestamp showed 2:17 p.m. I've been installing her goddamn soaking tub that exact hour. But here's the kicker, Milo continued, sliding over a receipt. She's not the signatory. The document trembled in my grip. Authorized representative, Mark A. Delaney. Her brother. The same weasel who'd borrowed $15,000 last year for a startup that turned out to be a poker habit. The notary seal matched the pawn shop where he'd sold my father's Rolex after the funeral. I nearly missed the second bombshell, a grainy selfie of Tom and Catherine at some rooftop bar. His medical alert bracelet was gone, replaced by a vintage Breitling. My Breitling. The one I'd kept in our safety deposit box since Jake's stillborn investment banking phase. Found something else, Milo said, voice dropping like a coffin lid. Kid's got a record. Embezzled from his last clinic. Swept under the rug when his daddy paid restitution. He grinned, revealing a spinach fleck. Guess who co-signed the loan? The garage door groaned. Catherine's heels clicked toward us. Milo vanished like a roach under the fridge. Jason. Her voice dripped saccharine. I made lemon loaf. I stared at the UPS store photo taped to my table saw. Let her see it. Watched her pupils dilate in real time. It's not what ew. Show. I pressed a finger to her lips, still smudged from Tom's neck. I get it. Midlife crisis. Lost connection. My thumb brushed the snake necklace, now warm from her panicked sweat. Let's reset. Her relief stank like overripe fruit. Really? You're not angry? Baby, I'm retired. I pulled her into a hug, memorizing the new mole behind her ear. Let's take that Alaskan cruise you wanted. Over her shoulder, I texted Milo, drain Bellevue. Leave $47.89. That night, I accidentally left the Breitling in her jewelry drawer. Watched through the nanny cam as she frantically called Mark. He knows. The watch, the account. What did you do? Mark's tinny voice crackled. Relax. I moved the last transfer through Emily's. The feed cut as she slammed the drawer. I sipped bourbon, tracing the GPS dot I'd sewn into her yoga pants. Across town, Tom's insulin pump would be beeping with a low battery warning courtesy of my new hacker friend in Minsk. Emily's door creaked open. Dad? She hovered in flannel pajamas, clutching Jake's old teddy bear. Can we talk about? College fund's safe, pumpkin. I smiled, knowing full well her trust fund now lived in a Liberian shell account. Sleep tight. As she retreated, I opened the Bellevue spreadsheet. $217,000 vanished. $47.89 remained. Precisely the cost of 2 one-way Greyhound tickets to Reno. When Catherine crept into bed hours later, I pretended to snore. Let her think she'd won. Let them all think it. The PI's final report glowed on my phone. Tom's clinic under audit. Mark's car repossessed. Emily's boyfriend ghosted her. I closed my eyes, imagining Catherine's face when she'd discover her secret account couldn't cover a Motel 6. Patience, I whispered to the dark. Rot works best in silence. The credit card cancellation started on a Tuesday, the same day Catherine's Pilates studio charged their annual $5,000 membership. I watched her pace the kitchen in leopard print Lululemons, jabbing her iPhone. Declined? Again. Her French tip nails clicked against marble like a deranged metronome. Must be those fraud alerts, I said without looking up from the Wall Street Journal. A half-melted Cuban cigar rested in the ashtray, Mark's favorite brand, smuggled into his fishing trips to Miami. The same ones he'd smoked while helping Catherine siphon funds. She lunged for my iPad. Fix it. I let her grab it. Watched her face contort as she opened our banking app. Where's the money? Market downturn. I bit into a green apple, crisp as bone snapping. Told you we should have diversified. Emily slammed her bedroom door so hard my framed OSHA certificates rattled. When she stormed in, I noticed the new tattoo peeking under her sleeve, a snake matching Catherine's necklace. You're terrorizing her. Spittle flew. First the accounts, now her cards. What's next? GPS anklets. I rolled up my sleeve, revealing the scar from the table saw incident that had paid for her Ivy League application. Remember when Mom said I accidentally did this during a bender? Emily flinched. Took 14 stitches to realize she'd swapped my painkillers with Xanax. Keep yelling, though. Great inflection. Catherine's phone buzzed. A 305 area code, Mark. She silenced it, but not before I glimpsed the text preview. Cayman docks ready. Need you to grocery run, I announced, grabbing keys to my '87 Ford F-150, the truck Mark always mocked. Let him track the Lexus. At Home Depot, I bumped into Mark's mistress. Shelley from the nail salon, 24 and allergic to silence. Mr. D. She adjusted her push-up bra, a cigarette bobbing between her lips. Mark said you're renovating? Just replacing locks. I held up a quickset deadbolt. Funny story, found a whole stash of Cubans in my attic. Recognize the band? Her face froze. I'd planted the cigar wrapper in Mark's golf bag last week, knowing she'd snoop. Tell him I'll keep his humidor warm, I said, tossing her a $50. Buy something that covers the hickeys. Back home, Catherine was elbow-deep in the filing cabinet. Looking for the Belize timeshare? I asked. She spun, clutching a folder labeled Taxes 2015. You moved the Cayman paperwork. Did I? I popped the cigar between my teeth. Must have confused it with Mark's other offshore accounts. The ones funding his recreational activities. Emily emerged, lugging a suitcase. I'm staying with Uncle Mark. Wise. I tossed her a burner phone. Text when you arrive. His place gets sketchy after dark. As they peeled out, I opened the floor safe hidden under the dog bed, Jake's golden retriever. May he rest in peace. Inside, Mark's notarized POA documents, Shelley's signed affidavit, and a USB drive of Tom's clinic embezzlement. The doorbell rang, a process server with papers for Catherine. Spousal abandonment? I feigned shock. But we just renewed our vows. I left the documents on the island next to her untouched lemon loaf. Texted Milo, light the fuse. When the garage exploded at 3 a.m., electrical fire, totally accidental, I let the flames lick Catherine's Lexus before calling 911. Firemen found the cigar box in the rubble, reeking of kerosene and betrayal. By dawn, the Cayman accounts were frozen. Mark's mistress was pregnant. And Emily's trust fund? Let's just say Bitcoin's volatile this time of year. The offshore transfer confirmation hit my inbox during Catherine's morning meditation, the one where she pretends to manifest abundance while secretly checking Tinder. I timed it to the minute. Her crystal singing bowl still hummed when her phone erupted with fraud alerts from 5 banks. She found me pressure washing the patio stones she'd chosen during our renewal phase. The divorce papers fluttered on the outdoor table, weighted down by Jake's empty piggy bank. "What is this?" she shrieked, waving the documents like a white flag. I killed the power washer. "Looks like a 50-50 split." I nodded at the papers. Page 17's interesting. Her manicured fingers stabbed the clause. Liquid assets to be divided after full financial disclosure. The color drained from her face faster than our joint accounts. "Where's the money, Jason?" "Which money?" I peeled off work gloves crusted with concrete dust. "The Belize Fund? The Cayman Playpen? Or the $217,000 you funneled through Mark's fake LLC?" Emily chose that moment to barrel through the gate, reeking of vape pens and Mark's basement. Stop gaslighting her. She brandished her phone, a screenshot of the offshore account balance. $1.4 million transferred yesterday. Catherine's scream attracted the neighbor's terrier. "You can't just, we had agreements." "Protections." "You're right." I unzipped my tool belt, letting sockets clatter onto the pavers. "Our prenup specified infidelity voids all claims." I tapped the papers. "But since you've been so ethical." Emily lunged for my throat. I sidestepped, letting her crash into the grill. The lid flew open, revealing the keepsake box she'd buried here at 16, love letters from her high school sweetheart. And beneath them, the USB drive with Mark's forged signatures. "Careful," I said, catching the box. "Wouldn't want Uncle Mark's parole officer finding his little side hustle." Catherine sank onto the bench I'd built from Jake's old treehouse wood. "Please," she whispered. Tom meant nothing. I crouched until our noses almost touched. "Neither does your credit score now." Her hand flew out. A weak slap that missed. I caught her wrist, thumb pressing the acupuncture point she'd once used to relax me during arguments. "Fun fact," I said, "offshore accounts can't be garnished for malpractice suits. Tell Tommy Boy to enjoy bankruptcy." Emily hurled a patio stone through the greenhouse. Glass rained down on Catherine's herb garden, the rosemary she'd used to hide the taste of my sleep aids. "You're a monster. Takes one to know one, pumpkin." I tossed her the car keys. "Take Mom to the bank. See if they accept Monopoly money." As they screeched away, I texted my broker, "Dump the Pfizer stock." Catherine's secret portfolio relied on those shares. Let her watch it crater after hours. Inside, I opened the floor safe again. Beneath the stacks of gold bars, real, and Emily's adoption papers, fake, I found the real prize, Catherine's mother's pearls. The ones she'd sold to fund Mark's bail last year. Pawn shops talk when you buy back family heirlooms with $100 bills. I left the necklace on her pillow with a note, "For your next audition." The doorbell rang. A courier with a box from Tiffany's. Inside, a new snake pendant, this time with 2 emerald eyes. The receipt listed Tom's clinic as the billing address. I slipped it into Emily's purse. Let the IRS connect those dots. That night, I grilled steaks, rare, the way Jake liked them. Let the smoke drift over the fence where the neighbors whispered. Drank Macallan from the bottle. Watched Catherine's credit score nosedive in real time on my phone. When the motion sensor lit up the driveway at 2 a.m., I didn't rise. Just listened to her fumble with the garage code I'd changed to 0214, the date of Tom's first insulin prescription. "Welcome home, darling." Mark found me at O'Malley's nursing a Guinness, His reflection warped in the brass footrail. He reeked of desperation and Drakkar Noir, the same cologne he'd worn to Jake's funeral. "You're gonna undo everything," he hissed, slamming a cease and desist order soggy with condensation. "Or I'll tell the courts about the garage fire." I sipped slowly, watching the foam cling to his subpoena. Funny, I slid a coaster toward him, stolen from the Cayman Brewpub where he'd opened Bellevue's account. "Heard your boss at the clinic's big on workplace ethics." "What's her name?" "Margot, the one with the leukemia kid." His Adam's apple bobbed. I tapped my phone, projecting photos onto the dartboard. Security footage of Mark pocketing opioid shipments. Receipts for a Tesla bot with hospice donations. But the piece de resistance, a selfie of him and Shelley at the Bellagio, timestamped during his daughter's spinal surgery. "Blackjack's a hell of a drug," I said as the dart players stopped to watch. He lunged, but I caught his wrist, the same way I'd restrained Catherine. "Careful. Your Apple Watch is syncing to the clinic's Wi-Fi." I grinned. "Wouldn't want Margot seeing your extracurriculars." Mark's phone buzzed with a Venmo notification, $20,000 from Bellevue Holdings to an account named Sugar Baby Shelley. The crowd oohed. You engineered your own destruction?" I finished his sentence, dropping a $50 on the bar. "Nah, you did that when you taught Catherine to hide money in Jake's memorial fund." The color left his face. I'd found the ledger 3 days prior, $50K monthly transfers disguised as charity donations, buried under my son's name. He fled, but not before spitting, "Emily knows about the PI." I should have left then. Instead, I stayed to finish my drink, savoring the burn. Mistake. The house reeked of burnt sage when I returned, Catherine's latest purification ritual. Emily waited in the dark, Milo's surveillance photos spread across my drafting table like a tarot reading. "You had us followed?" Her voice shook, but her hands were steady. "Dangerous." I flicked on the lamp, illuminating a shot of her meeting Mark's bookie. "Correction, I had your mother followed. You're just the bonus round." She hurled a stapler at my head. I ducked, letting it shatter the window overlooking Jake's overgrown treehouse. "You're psychotic." Mom was right. You've always been a control freak. Control? I laughed, cold and hollow. I didn't control the $12,000 you funneled to Mommy's secret account, or the fake invoices from your art collective. I tossed her a flash drive containing her Venmo history, monthly $5,000 transfers to Tom's clinic. Guess college ethics classes don't cover money laundering. Her face collapsed. I was helping her leave you. The confession hung between us, rancid. I opened the floor safe, revealing stacks of her childhood diaries. Page 14, sophomore year. "Dad works too much, but at least he's not a liar like Mom." She lunged for the books. I let her take them. "Burn them. I've got scans." The backyard motion light flickered on. Catherine burying something by Jake's old swing set. Probably the rest of her jewelry before the asset freeze. Emily hugged the diaries, tears smudging her snake tattoo. "We were happier when you were gone." Funny, I pulled out the Lego piece Jake had lodged in the garbage disposal, the last thing he'd ever fixed. "Your brother said the opposite before they zipped the body bag." She fled, but not before knocking over the insulin cooler I'd rigged to Tom's prescription. The temperature alarm blared, a perfect metaphor. Upstairs, I reviewed the live feed from Mark's office. Right on cue, he shredded documents into a duffel bag. The shredder jammed with a familiar gold chain. Catherine's necklace, traded for his silence. I texted Margot the clinic's security footage. Attached Shelley's ultrasound. The house creaked, emptier each night. But silence, I'd learned, isn't absence. It's the space where rot thrives. The for sale sign went up in a Category 5 hurricane, because fuck symbolism. I'd hired a meth head realtor named Buzz who listed the lake house as motivated seller. Perfect for swingers, with photos of Catherine's lingerie drawer still ajar. The cash offer came in at 3 a.m. from a crypto bro who planned to mine Bitcoin in the septic tank. Catherine found me boxing up Jake's fishing rods in the boathouse. "You can't sell this place." Rain lashed the windows as she gripped a framed photo from our 20th anniversary. Her in the hammock, me waist deep in the lake fixing the dock she'd wanted. "This is our history." Correction. I taped the box shut. This is a mold colony with a mortgage. She grabbed a filleting knife from the tackle box, hands shaking. Not threatening, pleading. I'll do anything. Take the necklace back. End things with Tom. Just don't erase Jake's memory. I pried the knife from her grip, thumb testing the edge she'd never sharpened. Memory's free. This place costs $18,000 a year in upkeep. Slid the blade under the photo's backing. Out fluttered a Polaroid-eyed mist. Catherine and Tom on the dock, her legs wrapped around him. Jake's #OneDad hat tilted on Tom's head. Her choked sob harmonized with the loons outside. That was after you forgot our anniversary. I finished. Right? Because wiring $10,000 to your spa day while I was resuscitating a welder on site makes me the forgetful one. The crypto bro arrived early, trailing a Twitch streamer girlfriend. Dope vibe. He kicked the rotting dock post I'd begged Catherine to let me replace. We'll rip this out, build a NFT gallery. Catherine vomited in the hydrangeas. By sundown, the closing docks were signed using Jake's Boy Scout compass as a pen. I left the Polaroid in the empty fireplace, ashes arranged into a smiley face. Emily's note waited on my truck windshield, lipstick on a Chick-fil-A napkin. You're destroying us. Beneath it, a single pearl from her grandmother's necklace. I texted her burner phone. Check the safe deposit box. She'd find two things: the deed to her first car, repossessed tomorrow, and an ultrasound photo from Shelley with Mark's signature. Let her chew on that. Back home, I methodically smashed the lake house model I'd built for Catherine's 40th. Inside the foundation, a USB drive tumbled out, security footage of Mark and Tom loading medical waste into the boathouse. Dated 2 days before Jake's accident. The numbness set in like Novocaine. I ordered a pepperoni pizza, ate it over the kitchen sink while watching Tom's clinic burn via livestream. Electrical fire, allegedly. At midnight, Catherine attempted seduction in threadbare Victoria's Secret. Remember our first time here? She gestured to the water stain shaped like Rhode Island. Vividly. I zipped my hoodie. You cried because I couldn't afford the ring you wanted. Her hand crept up my thigh. Let's make new. The doorbell rang. A courier with a package addressed to the homewrecker. Tom's insulin pump, melted into a modern art paperweight. I let Catherine answer it. When the scream came, I was already halfway to the garage, humming the tune to Jake's favorite campfire song. The numbness wasn't emptiness. It was the calm before the storm surge. Catherine showed up at 2 a.m. smelling like airport vodka and expired mascara, her key scratching at the lock I'd changed 3 days prior. Through the Ring camera, I watched her slump against the doorframe, that godforsaken snake necklace dangling from a broken clasp. Tom's parting gift, no doubt. I let her pound on the door for 7 minutes, the exact duration of Jake's final dive before the lake swallowed him. When I finally cracked it open, she collapsed into the foyer, babbling about betrayal. He blocked me, said I'm toxic. You have to. Sure. I knelt, brushing matted hair from her face. Her left earlobe was naked, the diamond stud I'd pawned to buy her engagement ring missing. Let's get you cleaned up. The bath ran lukewarm, same temperature as the Caribbean honeymoon suite where she'd first joked about open marriages. She didn't notice me pocket her Apple Watch charging on the sink. Let her think I was being sentimental. In the morning, I made pancakes, her apology breakfast recipe. Maybe we should try counseling, I said, pouring syrup over her lies. Her fork froze midair. Really? Dr. Voss came recommended. I slid the business card across the island. She didn't recognize the name from Jake's pediatric oncology team, the one who'd comforted her while I installed handrails in the children's ward. The first session was performance art. Catherine wept about emotional neglect and lost connections, carefully avoiding the words affair and embezzlement. Dr. Voss, a former Marine with a telltale bulge under his blazer, nodded sagely. Jason, do you feel Catherine's needs went unmet? I glanced at the nanny cam disguised as a clock. I provided. Maybe too well. Her crocodile tears dried when the receptionist accidentally handed her my folder, divorce papers backdated to before the offshore transfers. What is this? She shrieked in the parking lot. Contingency planning. I opened her car door with robotic courtesy. In case therapy fails. That night, I met my attorney at a 24-hour pancake house. She took the bait, I said, spreading Dr. Voss's session transcripts next to the syrup. Every tearful confession about secret accounts and Mark's involvement meticulously transcribed. The TRO's ready. My attorney slid over a restraining order citing financial abuse. Once she served, the prenup holds. Back home, Catherine had raided my toolbox. Looking for the code to the floor safe? I asked, catching her with a crowbar. She brandished a photo of us at Jake's 5th birthday party. We were happy once. We were broke once. I tossed her the Apple Watch data, a heart rate spike synced to Tom's motel check-ins. Funny how your arrhythmia only flares during adultery. The doorbell rang, a process server with papers for the restraining order. Catherine signed without reading, desperate to prove she wasn't volatile. As the taillights faded, I pulled Jake's old asthma inhaler from my pocket, the one I'd planted in her nightstand. Found this in the laundry. Her face crumpled. I kept it to feel close to him, or to remind yourself why you deserve to cheat. I clicked the inhaler, releasing a puff of flour I'd substituted. Empty. Just like your promises. Emily called as I packed Catherine's designer coats into contractor bags. She's staying with me, she spat. You win. Win. I zipped the bag, muffling Catherine's sobs. Honey, I'm just getting warmed up. The coats went to a women's shelter, tax deductible. The pockets still held $1,200 in emergency cash Catherine had sewn into the linings. Let her explain that to the IRS. At midnight, Dr. Voss texted a voice memo, Catherine's confession to funding Tom's clinic through Jake's memorial fund. The perfect soundtrack to my final asset transfer. I left the divorce papers on her pillow, weighted down by the snake necklace's broken clasp. The emerald eyes I'd pried out earlier glinted from the ashtray. Rot, it turns out, makes excellent fertilizer. The therapy office smelled like lavender and broken promises. Dr. Voss had replaced the couch with 2 folding chairs. Wise, given Catherine's habit of hurling throw pillows. Emily slouched between us, picking at her snake tattoo until it bled. Let's explore family milestones, Dr. Voss said, laying out a timeline like a murder board. His finger landed on June 12, 2013, Emily's high school graduation. Jason, you were? Fixing a collapsed roof at St. Mary's Hospital. I didn't need to add the rest, that the overtime paid for Emily's Juilliard audition tape she never used. Emily snapped. You missed my valedictorian speech to play handyman for strangers. Catherine dabbed non-existent tears. We all made sacrifices. Dr. Voss played his trump card, a VHS tape from the school archives. The projector flickered to life, showing 18-year-old Emily at the podium, voice cracking. My brother taught me. Courage isn't. She'd frozen mid-sentence, staring at an empty seat in the front row. The real gut punch came next, a wide shot of the audience. There, in the back, stood my younger self covered in drywall dust, having driven 4 hours through a storm. I'd made it after all. Emily's breath hitched. You were there? Left before they called your name. I kept my eyes on the exit sign. Had to finish the ER wing by dawn. Catherine's chair screeched. That's the problem. You were always there, just not present. Dr. Voss paused the tape. In the frozen frame, my hand clutched a hospital bracelet. Jake's, from his final asthma attack. I'd found it in the wreckage that morning. Emily stormed out, but not before hissing. You're just like him. Ghost who thinks showing up counts. That night, I dug out the old camcorder. The tapes were moldy, but the digital backups, Folder 43, Emily's 16th birthday. I fast-forwarded through cake shots, landing on a clip of Catherine in the kitchen. She's laughing with someone off-camera, twirling the snake necklace. Except the timestamp read 2011, 3 years before she claimed to have bought it. The camera panned left, catching Mark's reflection in the microwave. He mouthed, "She loves it," holding up a receipt from a pawn shop I'd frequented. My missing torque wrench lay on the counter. Rewound further, a shot of Jake's room. His inhaler on the nightstand. Full. But the police report stated he'd run out during the asthma attack. The house creaked. Downstairs, Catherine rummaged through my toolbox, again. I let her. The crowbar she sought had a GPS tracker epoxy glued inside. As her car peeled away, I burned the incriminating tape. But not before emailing a clip to Dr. Voss. Let him chew on the math. Catherine owned the necklace years before Tom. Before the midlife crisis. Before Jake's death. The smoke alarm wailed. I stood in the haze, Jake's hospital bracelet cutting into my palm. Regret's a luxury. I had invoices to forge. The leak happened during communion, poetic fucking justice. I'd rigged the projector to play security footage instead of lyrics. There she was, Catherine, in 4K glory against the Marriott's paisley wallpaper, serpent necklace glinting as Tom's insulin pump beeped along to Amazing Grace. The congregation's gasps harmonized beautifully with the organ's wheeze. She lunged for the power cord in her Sunday best, pearls over a hickey she'd tried to conceal with Laura Mercier. Too bad the camera caught that too. Pastor Mike's face turned communion wine red as his own text to the choir director scrolled in the credits. Emily cornered me in the parking lot, reeking of peppermint schnapps and teen rebellion. Was this your plan all along? She brandished a collection plate like a frisbee. Public execution via PowerPoint? I adjusted my tie, Jake's favorite, the one she'd spilled chocolate milk on during his wake. You're holding the plate upside down, pumpkin. The gold leaves for show. She hurled it. The plate shattered against the blessed are the peacemaker's sign, revealing hollow plastic beneath the gilt. Appropriate. Catherine emerged flanked by church ladies clutching rosaries like tasers. Jason, how could you? Funny. I tossed her car keys into the baptismal font. Same question I asked when you funneled Jake's memorial funds into Tom's Porsche. The crowd stilled. Even the toddlers stopped chewing communion wafers. Emily froze. What? Catherine's face did that collapsing inward thing rotten barns do. That's not the clinic needed. A 911 turbo? I projected the invoice onto the rectory wall. Custom license plate. Asthma 1. The snake necklace broke first, clasp snapping as Catherine clawed it off. Then the choir director fainted into the potato salad. By sundown, the congregation had Venmo'd me $3,000 for this scandalous but educational live stream. Emily found me polishing Jake's ashes urn with Windex. You turned him into a prop, she whispered. Nah. I held up the urn, catching light through the bullet hole she'd put in it during her Smith & Wesson phase. You did that when you pawned his baseball cards for vape pens. Her slap left a nicotine stain on my cheek. You're worse than Mom. Agreed. I pressed a check into her palm, $1.37, the remaining balance from her gutted college fund. But at least I'm honest about being a monster. That night, the church burned down. Electrical fire, allegedly. From the safety of my new downtown loft, I watched steeple embers mix with Catherine's social capital on the 10 o'clock news. The reporter missed the best part, me donating the Porsche to a pediatric asthma charity. Let Tom explain that tax write-off during his audit. Emily's final text came at 3 a.m. You win. I didn't respond. Winners keep receipts. Mark showed up wearing Jake's old Little League jacket, size 12, straining over his meth gut. The stench of cheap repentance wafted off him like Axe body spray. I'll wire back every cent. He panted, shoving a Ziploc bag of crumpled hundreds at me. Just call off the auditors. I let the bag hit the floor, kicking it toward the industrial shredder I'd installed in the living room. Cute. Now do the $83,000 you siphoned through Jake's Make-A-Wish fundraiser. He flinched. I'd found the ledger taped under his daughter's princess bed, right next to her leukemia meds he'd been reselling on Craigslist. Catherine chose that moment to barrel in, waving a printed screenshot of my offshore balances. You think you're clever? I'll hire a forensic accountant. Her new knockoff Prada heels clicked unevenly, one heel hollowed out to hide burner phones. I tossed her a USB drive labeled Jake's 5th birthday. Knock yourself out. The video wasn't cake smashes. It showed Mark unloading medical waste into our old boathouse 3 days before Jake's asthma attack, chemical drums leaking God knows what into the lake. The timecode matched her first hot yoga night. Blackmail won't work, Mark sneered, but his hand shook as he pulled a Glock from the Little League jacket. I laughed, nodding at the nanny cam over the mantel. Safety's on, sport. And that's Catherine's tampon gun. Pink pearl handle, single bullet. He checked. Rookie mistake. While he fumbled, I slid Jake's nebulizer across the table, the one I'd salvaged from the lake house ashes. Recognize the serial number? FDA flagged it as part of Tom's recalled shipment. You stored it next to Jake's albuterol. Catherine made a sound like a deflating tire. Mark's gun clattered into the koi pond. Here's the kicker, I said, pulling up the offshore login. The password field blinked. Jake's last breath _0814. You want the money? Breathe for him. She lunged at the keyboard, nails cracking on the keys. Error. 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 I'd rigged it with a dead man switch, heart rate monitor synced to my Fitbit. Steady 60 BPM. One spike, and the accounts funneled to an anti-asthma charity. Checkmate, I whispered as she collapsed, clawing at her intact pearls. Mark tried one last play, a sob story about Shelley's baby. I played the ultrasound audio from my pocket. Twins, the tech exclaimed. Due date, let's see, April 15th. Tax day, poetic. As they slunk out, I texted the PI, released the sewer report. By dawn, the local news would link Tom's clinic waste to the lake's E. coli outbreak, and Catherine's mommy blog posts about Jake's eco-friendly burial. The offshore login taunted her from every device. Password hint. What drowned with him? Not the money, just her last shred of leverage. And my ability to cry. The dinner reeked of rotisserie chicken from Costco, Catherine's signature dish she hadn't cooked since the affair began. I set the table with Jake's SpongeBob birthday plates, the ones she'd deemed too childish for guests. Emily arrived last, belly hidden under a baggy hoodie that couldn't mask the prenatal vitamins spilling from her purse. I'm selling the house, I announced during dessert, sliding the listing photos across melted ice cream. Cash offer from a developer. Closing Friday. Catherine's spoon clattered. You can't. The memories are flammable. I clicked the lighter I'd used to burn Tom's love letters. The flame reflected in Emily's dilated pupils. She stood abruptly, knocking over the sweet tea. I'm pregnant. Silence. The fridge hummed the tune to Jake's favorite Wiggles song. I leaned back, eyeing her midsection. Due date. February 14th. Her chin jutted. Your grandchild needs stability. Valentine's Day. I snorted. Tom's favorite holiday, right? The clinic's free STD testing event. Catherine gasped. Emily's hand flew to her stomach. How dare you? Relax. I tossed her a sonogram from my breast pocket. Got this last week. Notice the timestamp. The grainy image showed a fetus with a highlighted femur length. 12 weeks. Dated 3 months before Tom's insulin pump stopped working. Emily paled. You had me followed? Had your OBGYN's Mercedes repossessed? I dabbed béarnaise sauce from my lips. Turns out she owed Mark $15,000 for black market Ozempic. Catherine lunged across the table, but I caught her wrist. Same move, different victim. The father's in prison, I whispered. Drug charges. How's that for stability? Emily's scream rattled the chandelier I'd rewired last week. He's innocent. So was Jake. I pulled the listing contract from under the tablecloth. Sign here, and I'll gift you the pack and play. She hurled her plate. The SpongeBob smile shattered against the wall. I'll fight you for custody. Of what? I kicked over the trash can, revealing shredded baby clothes from the attic. The trust fund you blew on Mom's Cayman trips? The nursery she turned into Tom's sex den? Catherine moaned into her hands. I pressed the house key into Emily's palm, the one I'd replaced with a 3D printed replica. Knock yourself out. New locks arrive tomorrow. As they fled, I texted the developer. Demo starts at dawn. The bulldozer would find the surprises I'd left in the walls. Jake's used inhalers, Tom's shredded scrubs, and the snake necklace's emerald eyes. Let the landfill sort it out. Emily's final plea echoed through the empty rooms. He looks just like Jake. I cranked the volume on the baby monitor I'd bugged her apartment with. Let her explain that lie to the social worker knocking at dawn. The hospital monitors beeped a mocking rendition of Another One Bites the Dust as I strode past nurses who'd once begged me to fix their leaky or lights. Catherine's wrists were mummified in gauze from the accidental bleach bath she'd taken, right after discovering I'd swapped her Xanax with caffeine pills. She turned her head, for yanking at the snake necklace she'd superglued to her collarbone. Happy now. Her voice rasped like a dull saw. I dropped the divorce papers on her catheter bag. You'll get nothing. Unless, I tapped the clause about forfeiting assets if deemed mentally unfit. Emily materialized like a vengeful specter, reeking of nicotine and NICU sanitizer. You drove her to this. Her slap left a Rorschach blot of foundation on my cheek. I licked the blood off my lip. Copper and CoverGirl. Drove? She's been in the passenger seat since '99. Catherine's hand fluttered to her neck, clawing at the necklace until it bled. Take it, just stop. Can't. I pulled out Jake's corroded inhaler from the lake. Pawn shop won't accept biohazards. Emily shoved a sonogram in my face. He has your chin. The grainy image did have a familiar cleft, same as Mark's bastard kid. I tossed her a paternity test I'd bribed the lab to expedite. Congrats. It's a Delaney. Catherine's monitor flatlined for 3 glorious seconds before nurses rushed in. I pocketed her DNR order, the one she'd signed during her holistic healing phase. You killed Mom. Emily screamed as security dragged her out. I adjusted Catherine's oxygen tube, whispering. Funny. They said the same when Jake's ventilator malfunctioned. Her eyes widened, connecting dots I'd painted years ago. The hospital TV flickered to life, airing footage of Tom's plea deal, ratting out Mark's drug ring in exchange for witness protection. I left a get-well card on the nightstand. Inside, a photo of her empty offshore account and a single Lego piece from Jake's last birthday. The parking lot smelled of rain and diesel. I texted the demolition crew, proceed. As the house imploded on my phone's live feed, I realized the real wreckage was already complete. Rot, once cultivated, needs no tending. The $50,000 surfaced in a Mickey Mouse trust fund. Emily's name misspelled as Emily to throw off auditors. My lawyer discovered it while subpoenaing her OnlyFans account, where she'd been selling bereaved daughter ASMR videos featuring Jake's ashes urn. Technically marital assets. The lawyer droned, sliding the seizure order across my desk. I signed it with the pen I'd pulled from Mark's foreclosure notice. Emily was mid-live stream when the marshals came. This is illegal, she shrieked to her 47 followers, cradling a positive pregnancy test like a crucifix. The chat erupted as they hauled off her MacBook, collateral for the unpaid student loans I'd bought from collections. Mark's retaliation came via TikTok live from a Motel 6. Jason Delaney abused us all, he slurred, waving a photo of my boot print on Catherine's yoga mat. Psycho control freak. The video went viral, until a metadata geotag revealed it was filmed in Shelley's apartment. The same unit where Catherine's suicide attempt bleach bottles had been purchased. By noon, the FBI subpoenaed Mark's phone. By dusk, his mugshot trended beside #deadbeatdad. I celebrated by repossessioning Emily's Prius, the one she'd borrowed from Jake's memorial fund. Found $8,000 in emergency cash sewn into the upholstery. Left the pink slip on her Airbnb pillow with a vial of Tom's insulin. Her eviction notice arrived during Mark's perp walk. You're worse than him, she spat, pointing at the screen where Mark sobbed about child support. Debatable. I tossed her a bus ticket to Reno, one-way, non-refundable. But at least I pay my debts. As the Prius's new owner drove off, I texted the PI, released the sewer tapes. The nightly news aired Catherine's charity swim in the E. coli lake hours before Jake's death. The anchor didn't mention the $50,000 transfer timestamped that same day. Emily's final Venmo request pinged at midnight. $12.99 for a pregnancy test. I sent $13.37 with the memo. Keep the change, Grandma. The offshore account balance blinked. $0.00. Victory, I realized, tastes like staticky hospital coffee and the faint beep of a heart monitor flatlining 3 states away. Rot always wins. But so do the termites. The flames tasted Jake's finger paintings first, the ones Catherine had laminated instead of attending his 3rd-grade art show. I fed them slowly, savoring the way my hero dad curled into ash. The snake necklace went next, emerald eyes popping like corn kernels in the barrel fire. Catherine's call came as I torched her wedding dress. Please, she rasped, her voice filtered through what sounded like a hospital chapel payphone. Emily's living in her car. I stirred the coals with a rusted trowel from Jake's sandbox. You had 30 years to notice. A wet cough. The doctors say I need procedure. So get Tom to scrub in. I chucked her pearl earrings into the blaze. He's got the hands for it. The knock came 3 times cop rhythm. The process server looked 12, juggling a subpoena thicker than my old tax returns. Emily Delaney versus Jason Delaney. Parental alienation, emotional distress, and he squinted. Fetal endangerment? I skimmed the exhibits. Sonogram printouts. Texts I'd allegedly sent about crooked uteruses. A notarized letter claiming I'd replaced her prenatal vitamins with laxatives. Cute. I lit the papers with the barrel fire, watching Emily's notary stamp bubble. Tell her to itemize the emotional distress. I'll pay in Kohl's cash. As the kid retreated, my phone buzzed with a Venmo request, $9.99 for a pregnancy test. Below the memo line, he has your eyes. The flames spat out a half-melted Lego block. Jake's favorite, the one he'd shoved into the disposal, giggling as I fished it out. My hand hovered over the fire. The security app pinged. Live feed from Catherine's motel showed her rifling through a dumpster, her pole still hitched to her arm. She paused to cough into Jake's old Cub Scouts bandana. I closed the app, the Lego still pinched between calluses. For half a breath, I considered pocketing it. Then the wind shifted, wafting smoke from what remained of Emily's baby shower invites, the ones I'd intercepted and regifted as kindling. The Lego hit the flames just as headlights slashed the driveway. Emily's Uber idled behind the carcass of her Prius. She hugged a laundry basket of onesies, watching me burn her childhood. I raised my beer and toast. She flipped me off with her free hand, the other cradling the bump sheet stuffed with a dollar store pillow. As her taillights faded, I unearthed the final memento, a VHS tape labeled Jake's first steps. The plastic warped slowly, releasing fumes that stung like regret. Rot, I realized, isn't a single act. It's the 1,000 things you let fester while pretending not to smell the decay. The lawsuit would fail. The house would sell. The money would linger. But in the morning, I'd still be here, stoking ashes, waiting for the last ember to die. The fire pit reeks of burning driftwood and tequila regrets. I'm halfway through a bottle of Don Julio 1942 when Emily's letter arrives via drone. Modern family values. Baby. The paper smells like her car's dollar store air freshener and prenatal vitamins. Dad, it begins, because she's still clinging to that delusion. I lost a father first. You just lost. The wind kicks up, scattering ashes from Jake's Little League trophies I'd torched earlier. A fleck lands on the word father, burning a hole through the F. Poetic. My new girlfriend's text pings as I feed the letter to the flames. Room 214 ready. You bring the Viagra? Attached, a mirror selfie in the Marriott where Catherine first fucked Tom. The snake necklace glints around her throat, plastic this time. Progress. I stand, brushing sand from the Hawaiian shirt Emily gave me last Father's Day. The receipt falls out, $89.99 charged to the joint account she'd forgotten I monitor. Classic. The fire dies as I walk away, but not before catching a half-charred photo in the embers. Jake building sandcastles here at 7, blissfully unaware the ocean erases all things. The text pings again. Seriously though, UR card declined. I Venmo her $214. Memo, room service. The resort's neon sign hums the same frequency as Catherine's life support. Coincidence? Probably not. Rot never sleeps. But neither do I.